Hey, it's me. This episode is being filmed in wobble vision. No, it really shouldn't be that bad, but I am holding this up with my hand. And so my hand's gonna shake a little bit and my arm's gonna get tired. So last week I didn't do a video because I had a minor eye surgery, which, was not awesome, but recovered in a couple days. And now I was thinking, man, I'm gonna have to cancel this for a second week in a row because my wife is on spring break this week and we are at a friend's house and just kind of doing some painting and minor renovation work. So I didn't know if I was gonna make it home in time and just didn't really want to cancel. So yeah, I'm just gonna do it here. Okay, so what I want to talk with you about today is that it occurred to me probably 15, 16 years ago, and it just really came out of the blue for me. The idea that for almost every significant decision that you're ever going to make, and for a lot of decisions that even don't seem all that significant, there's basically 3 steps that you're going to have to go through in order to be able to make that change. And those steps are, first of all, you're going to have to find the truth. You're going to have to face the truth. And then you're going to need to follow the truth. Okay, I want to go over today what those 3 steps are. Each one of them is really important. And without going through a process like that, if you short circuit any of those, you're going to end up having a problem. Your thing that you're going to decide to do isn't going to work out right. So I also want to tell you the most common of those 3 steps that people short circuit. Maybe it's the only one that's really all that possible to sort of try and step around. Okay, so I want to lay that out for you as well and kind of give you an example of why trying to sort of go around that really important step is going to lead to stuff that's not going to be good. Okay, so think of these 3 steps: find truth, face truth, and follow truth. Now this applies, these 3 things you're going to need to do whether you're thinking about making a change in your marriage, in your intimate relationship, in your education, maybe going back to school. Like everything I've been, maybe you decide, hey, you know what? I think we need to go back to church. Okay. So you're going to end up going through probably some version of those 3 steps. So I want to explain what those are and how they work to you. Okay. Finding truth is essentially something that happens in your head. It's an intellectual exercise. So let's say there's an intervention where a bunch of family members are in a room and their alcoholic family member has been scheduled to come in and meet them all, in this room, and suddenly realizes he's in the middle of an intervention. And what that is an opportunity for that person to find truth. Because their family members, for the next however long they're willing to sit there, are going to be telling the truth to them, right? You know what? You drink too much. It's not okay. And then that person has to make a decision about whether they're going to accept the truth. I mean, they found it, right? There it is. It's just been presented to them. And now they're going to have to grapple with it and make a decision about what they're going to do with that. Okay, so that's the first step. Let's give some other examples. Let's say you're thinking, you know what, maybe we need to go to marriage therapy. So that in and of itself is kind of a finding of truth, right? It's coming to a point where you say, you know what, this change needs to happen. This is the state of things in the relationship, and here's what we're probably going to need to do. Okay, that's finding truth. Okay, so then you can just take any decision. Hey, you know what? Maybe your partner says to you, hey, I want to go back, or maybe it occurs to you, you know what? Maybe you should go back to school. And then you flip that around for a long time. You think about it, right? But that's you discovering a possible truth in your life. So finding truth is first. Once you've found the truth, comes the hard part, okay? Because the next step after you find the truth is facing it, okay? The next step after you find the truth about something, whether it's that you drink too much or your relationship with your kids is strained or damaged, or your partner isn't happy, or like I said, you want to go back to school, or whatever it might happen to be, after you discover what the truth is, you're going to have to face the emotional consequences of that. So the alcoholic, if they're willing to accept the truth, right, when the truth is told to them, they've now found it, heard it, if they're going to be accepting of that truth, they're going to have to face up to a lot of hard stuff, right? They're going to have to go, oh, you know what? That's true. I do drink a lot. And because of that, here are the people that I've hurt, and here's why I haven't been able to hold down a job, and here's all the damage that has happened because of this truth, okay? Now I want to give you another example here that I see a lot, right? So there's like groups like, say, AA, Weight Watchers, things like that, right? And people go to those groups routinely. People will go to AA, typically, you know, a lot of people will like get a sponsor with AA, right? But not everybody's going to go to meetings. Okay, some people just want to have a sponsor, have somebody to call when they're having a hard time, but don't really want to sit through meetings. Or maybe they'll sit through a few meetings, but don't want to really sort of make it a habit. Okay. Weight Watchers is another example. At Weight Watchers, you know, you go, you weigh in, you find out, you know, if you've gained or lost in that, you know, previous week. Then there's a meeting afterward. And I've known tons and tons and tons of people who go, they drive to their place, they weigh in, I guess they call it, and then go home and don't attend the meeting. But you know what happens at the meeting? You know what happens at the AA meeting? You know what happens in the church meeting? You know what happens at the Weight Watchers meeting? You have to face some difficult truths, right? At the Weight Watchers meeting, you have to work through the maybe sometimes difficult question, what's the deal with your relationship to food? Okay, which is a lot harder than just, I mean, dieting can be really hard, right? But it's really not as hard as having to deal with that, to face those kind of inner realities, right? So whether it's Weight Watchers or, like I said, you know, some, you know, class that you're thinking of signing up for at church, or, you know, an AA, you know, kind of situation, whatever it might be, the facing work is the hardest. And that's the step people frequently want to skip because it's hard, okay? It's hard to face the consequences of having been the way we have been, right? Whatever that might happen to be. And we have to really look at that, and we have to work it through, okay? Find truth, face truth, really the hardest step. And then the third step is follow truth. And following is fairly easy. Following, when people want to skip the second step, they want to discover, you know, the person with the alcohol problem wants to, you know, they discover, oh, I have a drinking problem. And it's like, okay, I guess I'll, you know, I guess I'll quit. In other words, they want to run right from finding truth to following that truth into a new way of being. So I'm just going to stop. But they might be inclined to skip the facing part. When it comes to relationships, right? It's one thing to acknowledge that things are difficult, right? And maybe once you see things are difficult, you say to your partner, all right, well, let's just kind of start over. Let's go on vacation and then we'll come back and we'll just start again. But you know what? It usually doesn't work like that. Because if you don't do your facing work, if you don't work through the emotional stuff, why isn't this working? What has broken down between us? How come we're not able to communicate? How come so much stuff turns into an argument? You know, what's going on? What is it sort of in the water between us that keeps making this happen over and over again? And whether you end up going to the library and getting a book by John Gottman, my relationship hero, or, you know, watching all my videos, or, you know, calling and setting up to go to therapy, whatever you end up doing, right? Well, that's your following work, right? That's your, okay, now we're going to take some action based on what I've come to understand, okay? So you come to understand, you know what, our relationship is strained. Maybe you call a therapist, you go right into therapy, and maybe the therapist helps you do some of that facing work. And then as you do your facing work, that leads to the possibility of significant and lasting change. And when you've really done your facing work, the following work will be a lot easier. It's easier to lose weight when you understand your relationship with food, right? It's easier not to drink when you understand what needs has that been meeting in my life. It's easier to stick to changes you need to make in your relationship when you understand what is it that's not working and why and how have we been stuck in this pattern for so long, okay? So find the truth, face the truth, follow the truth. And so the question is, you know, are you one of those people, and a lot of people are, who do you tend to not be open to hearing truth? If your partner comes to you and says, I'm not happy, I don't feel heard, I don't feel like you're listening, instead of really hearing your partner and allowing that truth in so that you can face it and then follow it into a new and better way of being, do you just get defensive, shut them down? Oh, it's your problem. You know, I don't have a problem, you have a problem. Right? So whether it's our relationship or anything else, you know, we can be closed to truth, to the idea that there's a problem, maybe with money. Maybe somebody's a terrible manager of money, and they need to know that truth, and they need to work through what is going on there. They need to face all of that so that they'll be able to make a plan and stick to a budget. If they just immediately make a budget, they're not going to be able to stick to it because they haven't done their facing work, and they won't understand their patterns that they're stuck in and their habitual mistakes that are keeping them stuck. Okay, so finding is easy to not do, just to be kind of shut down and defensive. I've already talked about how easy it is to not face, right? Just to not want to deal with the emotional stuff that is often involved in a time when we know we need to make a change. And then, you know, obviously following, the hardest part about following is being consistent. Right? So if you're trying to lose weight or get in better shape, right, then the hard part there, you know, even if you do your facing work, then you make a plan, and consistency might be the biggest problem. It might be hard to remain consistent in following your plan. So that frequently is the issue that comes with kind of the following step. Okay, so find, face, and follow. And, you know, I was asking you to sort of be aware of, like, what's your tendency with regard to these things? Do you tend to not really want to be open to hearing truth? You tend to maybe be open to hearing it, but then want to skip doing the work, right? And not put the emotional work in to face whatever that truth is. Or you tend to struggle with motivation and not be able to stick to whatever plan you have made to follow that truth into a new way of being. Okay? Find truth, face truth, follow truth. Pretty easy to remember. Pretty easy to look at your life and a situation that you may be in and say, hey, what's going on here? Is this a find problem? Is it a face problem? Is it a follow problem? And what do I want to do about that? Okay, thank you very much. Good seeing you. I'm glad I went ahead and did this today in spite of the fact that I'm not home. Don't forget to follow me on Facebook. What is it? DF Couples Therapy. Same thing, same address on Instagram, instagram.com, DF Couples Therapy. And, you know, all the other stuff. My blog at davidflowerstherapy.com and all that other stuff. If you see anything in my videos, if you go to YouTube, I invite you to follow me there. One last thing, postscript. I don't know if you saw my post recently. I need 1,000 followers on Facebook before I'll be allowed to upload my posts in HD. And I put that on my personal page, and somebody was like, since when can you not post videos in HD? And the answer is, if you have a business account. So I need 1,000 followers on my Facebook account in order to be able to post videos in HD, and really in order to actually even get an address that is anything more than just a complete jumble of random letters and numbers. It's horrible. So I need 1,000. At last check, I have somewhere in the ballpark of 50. So, you know, I need like 950 more followers. So I found that humorous. But yeah, if you check out anything on YouTube, don't forget to, you know, subscribe and, you know, help me be one step closer to being able to put quality, you know, higher quality videos out there. Thanks a lot again for tuning in. I will see you next Wednesday at 2 o'clock. Bye-bye.